coming this way. Wait a minute, hey, I'm ghosted!
By Roz Hernandez.
Jon Gabrus, hello.
Hi, Roz. Thank you for having me.
Thanks for doing this on January 6th.
I know, my favorite holiday.
It's
I
a
celebrate
very
every
busy
year.
day for us over here.
Yeah, we're recording advance, so maybe I'm the Jay Johnstone of the liberal J6, and I'm getting arrested right now.
Ooh. Wow. Yeah, that's interesting, huh? That guy went to prison, huh?
I believe so, unfortunately. Jimmy Pesto and Mr. Show sketch cast member is in jail.
Wow.
I mean, unfortunately for him only, he shouldn't have been there.
Yeah. Oh,
You don't get arrested if you're not there rioting.
That's a good point. I do want to know what you think of aliens. Everyone keeps bringing up aliens to me.
Interesting. I definitely think, and not to, immediately attack the conceit of the show, but in my mind, aliens are more realistic than ghosts, which I don't know if there's a competition.
Okay.
But in my mind,
Alienating my audience.
I seem to think that it's more likely that there are aliens than ghosts. But that being said, that doesn't discount, I don't think that there isn't ghosts necessarily. I just think aliens is more likely. And that might be just like annoying science brain of like, there's got to be other species that we don't understand out there. And hell, who knows? Maybe ghosts are just some weird alien. And then I think we talked about this on my episode, on your episode of my show too, because I'm obsessed with like what the human brain is capable of, and like what it could potentially, what we might be misinterpreting from our own brain in ways.
God.
You know what I mean? Like trying to explain phenomena that we experience because the brain is a complex computer, and then we apply it to like a haunting or an alien abduction or a past lives regression, or I'm communicating with the dead. Like all those things are possible, but it's hard not to discount the power of the brain. Like if you do any hallucinogens, you're like, well, my brain can do things that I'm not prepared for.
Totally.
Yeah.
But that's okay.
But what is the difference at that point?
True. I agree with all of
stupid
this.
Shrug.
The one time where I'm like, wait a minute, is when it's like a hotel and they're like, somebody goes to the front desk and they're like, oh my God, I just have to tell you, in the middle of the night, and then the person that works at the front desk is like the man with the beard in the white suit.
That's hard. Yeah, that's hard to parse. You know what I mean? Like that is like, is there a man? Is there Colonel Sanders hanging out in your room?
Exactly. Yeah. Extra crispy.
Get in here, you big bucket of tenders. Let's go.
There's a documentary I just watched on Netflix. I have to look up what it was called. It's called like the Manhattan UFO something, and it's like this lady.
Gotta check it out.
You gotta watch it. It's this lady. It's one of these things where, luckily now they make it 3 parts.
Instead of 7 or 8. Yeah, where it's like, dude, and they're made for such dummies too, and it's like they'll be like previously on, and then it's like 8 minutes, and then at the end of the episode they're like next on, and it's another 8 minutes, and then you're like, there's so much overlap. You're telling me the same details over and over again.
Exactly.
But a 3-parter is nice. I just watched the 3-parter on the Grey's Anatomy writer who lied, and that one was.
I forgot. I stopped watching. Okay, I need to go back to that one.
I had a blast watching that.
Okay.
Yeah, I think you will too.
Yes, because the woman, she said that she had cancer, and she also lied about a bunch of other stuff.
She kept just meeting people and stealing their stories and like just adding them to her life. She went to like PTSD camp because she said she was at the Tree of Life synagogue shooting and shit, and she wasn't. Like, that's fucking PTSD camp. It doesn't make sense. She went to like PTSD rehab.
Okay.
So we're at PTSD camp. Things are much better now.
So this is called the Manhattan Alien Abduction, and it's 3 parts. It could be 1.5, but it's about this woman that believes she was abducted in Manhattan out of her window.
Oh my God, it never happens to Manhattanites.
I know.
Because
And
it is
she-
always like the stereotype or the pattern is like country bumpkin, like rural.
Yes, where no
because-
one else can see it.
Yeah.
But there's all these people that came out claiming that they also saw her like floating out of her window.
Whoa.
Which would be so creepy if all of a sudden you just see this lady just like floating out of her window in the middle of the night.
Like when Luke Perry did it to Buffy in the Buffy the movie.
You know, I'm not a Buffy person.
Oh, I mean, I don't
Which
think we
doesn't
no
feel
one-
right.
Yeah, it feels wrong. It feels, but you're not missing much. The movie is a lot of fun. The show is really good too. But
Yeah.
I'm not going to sit here and it's distinct in my head of Luke Perry floating outside the window. You know, R.I.P. to a real one,
Gorgeous.
a gorgeous individual.
So
Although I was a Brian Austin Green guy, if we're going to get into 90210.
let's not fight. Let's give people. So far, your watch list is old clips of January 6th.
Yes, gotta. Just go to my YouTube page. I cut together some sizzle reels of guys with fucking chin beards beating cops with a flagpole. It's a delight.
Gorgeous.
It's democracy alive on camera.
And also the Manhattan alien abduction, the
Anatomy of a Lie.
Anatomy of a Lie, and the Buffy movie.
Correct.
No, I agree that aliens are definitely more easier to wrap my head around or seem more logical.
Right. A little more explainable. A little more scientifically explainable.
See, but we don't like science here.
Oh, okay. One of these.
We
okay.
don't do that here.
All right. Creationism.
Yeah, we believe
God made dinosaurs, aliens, and humans all on the same day.
same day. Yes. And that's part what we teach at my church. And I would like you to join.
I am on board. I was an atheist till I found out you had a church. Now I am on board.
How do you feel about cults? Because I do feel very vulnerable to I'm just waiting.
You know, I am.
join one.
I would say I would like to think I could sniff out that I was being like, but I'm also the guy who like dedicated his life to improv for 20 years. So
Now, improv's
I think
a little culty.
Yeah, I mean, and it's also people got like laid because of cults. You know, like there is an appeal to
True.
cults. I don't understand why I spent so much money and so much time performing for improv. So if I'm capable of that, or I also did CrossFit for a while, I get caught up in fads.
Okay.
So I think a cult could easily grab me, especially if all of a sudden it's like, you know, busty women are like, yes, once you're initiated, I'm like, you got it, lady. I'm on board.
Okay, this is good for me to know because I might start one.
Again, I'll be a Rosinite from the day one.
Okay, so let's go to ghosts, though.
Please.
So ghosts are, and we talk about all this stuff on this podcast. We don't shy away from the Mothman. We get into all of it, and we do believe in
Cryptids.
science.
We believe in cryptozoology here.
Yes,
I'm a fan. I think that's a worthwhile study.
Talk to me about cryptozoology.
That's like the study of cryptids, like the kind of, or the magical monsters, the Bigfoot, the Loch Ness,
Yes,
the Mothman, and all that stuff. And that feels again like something that's possibly explainable via science, or it's completely possible that there is like a Bigfoot-esque individual that lives, or a group of them that lives somewhere in the United States, and we just don't catch them all the time.
See, but that's always the thing. It's like, okay, but where is it?
Right.
You're going to
And
be studying this.
Is it an alien? And I know went down a rabbit hole of people who were talking about Bigfoot and dogmen sightings. Dogmen is another.
Dogman, yes.
And so I listened to a lot of firsthand accounts of these people, and they start to talk a little bit about like portals and like dimension doors and like these are interdimensional creatures and shit. So it starts to lose me. I mean, I'm on board for the sci-fi of it all, but it starts to lose me as like, I like to think that there's like a cave where it's like, I'm just a weird mutation of a beast that can talk and has hairy nipples and I live here,
But see, that's the only way, as crazy as this sounds, that is the only way for me to believe it. is if it is like an alien or something that could disappear.
More likely than in like an undiscovered species of like, oh yeah, you've heard of the grizzly bear, but did you know about Bigfoot or Sasquatch?
Because I always think about like these people that dedicate their life to trying to find Bigfoot. So what if one day they just like found him?
Yeah.
Then what do you do?
The fact that no one has makes it seem like we're doing something wrong. You know what I mean? Like,
but if you did find him, you're like, oh, okay, hey. And then Bigfoot's like, hey, like, who are you? And then just like, oh, my name's like Steven or whatever. And then you're like, the Bigfoot's like, how much do you know about me? And then Steven has to be like, well, not much. Like, they want to act cool. Like, they don't want.
Well, I mean, like I've heard of you.
I've heard of you.
I'm not hosting a TV show called Finding Bigfoot on
and then
Discovery
they
Channel
become
right now.
friends, and then Bigfoot realizes, oh my God, this person is obsessed with me. This person has footprints of me and that are, you know, carved out of.
This person just wants to measure my Bigfoot hog so bad.
Yes.
Like, that's the crazy thing, is that like we have not seen a petrified Bigfoot cock yet. Why is that the crazy?
You would think.
We would. There should be more evidence of the, you know. But I live like by that. Nature will continue to surprise us, like itself. Now I understand that Bigfoot or these cryptids could be interdimensional beings, or even mass hallucinations, or some version of aliens or a paranormal kind of situation. But part of me also just wants to believe that Mother Nature is capable of some stuff that we don't fully understand yet.
Yes.
Like
That's
that
my
bottom of the
favorite.
ocean shit. Like, oh,
What's going on down there?
God only knows. I'm so obsessed with the detail that someone said the ocean is as undiscovered as outer space.
Yes.
And that is-
what is the percent? How much of the ocean do we know? It's so shocking.
It's so little. And then there's like full on, like, you know, the Mariana Trench or whatever it's called. And there's just like super deep parts of the ocean that we have no idea what's going on down there and shit.
Mariana Trench.
Mariana
I think I
Trench
used
is
to
also
do
my drag name.
shows with her. Mariana Trench coming to the stage. She is undiscovered, honey. Wait, ocean percentage that we have discovered.
Please read out your search bar for
I
us.
have to. It says, wait, because I recently heard this.
Yeah, it's like 1% or something crazy.
It says a mere 5% of the global ocean has been explored, and less than 10% mapped using modern sonar technology. And that's from science.howstuffworks.com.
That is 90% of the ocean is undiscovered. That is
Terrifying.
absolutely terrifying.
But since I really care about my listeners, I am going on a gay cruise next week, and I'll go down there and I'll figure it out.
Roz, what are you doing? You just like casually put on like cute snorkel mask and dive off the
You
side.
guys, they only know 5%.
Wait, I think this is like the 6% here.
I know.
Just dive off. Like,
All of a sudden I come back up and I'm like, we now know 7%.
holding up some weird crab that no one never saw before.
Yes. Well, okay, but I still need to talk to you about ghosts.
Yeah, please.
Have you seen one?
I don't think so. Mm-hmm. I have not ever seen a ghost. I've experienced like a recurring dream from when I was a kid that is still kind of stuck with me, of an older black woman with a head wrap who kind of looked at me through windows all the time when I was sleeping. And
Okay.
and I would have like that, like I'm stuck on the bed, I can't, and she's looking at me, and she would like just, and so I believe that and it stopped when I moved houses. As a kid, I moved when I was like 13. So I think there was some attachment to a restless soul, or somebody that I used to know was living in that house, I think. And I think that might be my closest thing to a ghost. And believe me, I am open-minded to ghosts. So, you know, I'm trying to find them. I'm listening. I don't go to a lot of haunted hotels and stuff, because I might psych myself up too much. I know that's like your forte.
Yeah, don't get in my...
No, I objectively cannot
Stay in
handle
your
what you're
lane.
doing. Exactly, please.
That's my
me
thing.
and me and 4 LGBTQ people going. We need one straight guy.
Yeah, that is interesting. So only when you were living in this house, you would have a dream that this woman was outside of your bedroom window.
Yeah, and or randomly there'd be like a porthole in the door, and it wasn't like not a real thing that existed, like a hole in like a window in my door, and she would be like looking through it. And I remember specifically she would like, I keep doing this head gesture because she would like kind of slowly spin around a little, but I could only really see her head. And it was like it was she had like a head wrap on, or like I think I would have called it a turban when I was a kid, and now I would just use the term head wrap because it didn't have like that specific pattern.
Are you trying to pitch a sitcom, you and this lady?
Me and Mama Ghost or whatever. I mean, like, I'm always trying to pitch a sitcom. You hear that? Get at me. I can't even think of a sitcom creator's name. Oh. Bill Lawrence.
There you go. Okay. Well, we will accept it as a ghost story.
Oh, much appreciated.
This is my new gavel that was just sent to me by a listener. And I have it so that I can determine that is a ghost.
Yeah, I mean, I believe it might be. I've never, it's not like I've ever encountered someone in my life. I have friends that have encountered dead relatives. They believe in all that stuff, and I have not experienced that ever. I might be like too spectrumy or too like logical for me to, I'll just explain everything away to even myself. But I try to like keep my mind open to the potential for something like that.
Have you had sleep paralysis since?
No, not really. I have some bad dreams every once in a while, but like sleep is something that I'm like fucking awesome at these days.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm so good at it.
I just fell asleep in an airport and I was so proud of myself.
Oh, that's a dream. That's powerful.
Like in the airport.
I'm also good at staying awake too, which is like I'm very proud of myself with that. Yeah. It's new because like I used to not be able to fall asleep, or now I'm like just at the age where I'm just always tired enough to be like, okay, I can go to bed right now. It's like today was hard. I had to drive to Burbank, talk to Roz, and then I drove home. Now I need to go to bed. Hard day.
Are you superstitious?
No, not really. I will play the games of like, one headlight, tap the thing or whatever,
Okay.
I'll do stuff like that. I won't walk under ladders. I won't,
That's superstitious.
Yeah. And that's one of those things too where it's like I don't believe per se, but I might as well play the game. Like I don't believe in church, but if I go with my mom, I'll go get the body of Christ. You know what I mean?
Oh,
to like
well,
make
you
her,
gotta.
Yeah. I'm starving.
Free snack.
Keto. Home.
Oh,
I wish
God.
it should be beef jerky. Like if it's based on the fact that it's the body of Christ, it should be beef jerky. It should be higher protein.
We've had a lot of conversations about the body of Christ on this podcast. I want to know what part of Jesus it is.
That's a great question. I believe they'll tell you that via consecration, it is just bread being infused with the Spirit of Christ, much like, but I don't believe in that tabernacle ass bullshit.
Ooh, shots fired.
I was raised Catholic, so I'm informed and stressed.
Okay, Pope Francis, you hear that?
Come at me, Pope.
Okay,
please have me on your podcast, JF.
You said the magic word, which is Catholicism.
Yes.
That
pretty much the most ghosty of the religions, right?
Very much. So Catholicism teaches us about ghosts, I believe. I believe it can make people believe in ghosts if they're taught it from a young age.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, there's enough going on with like saints and the afterlife and praying to an invisible being that kind of can prime your pump for. Although I don't believe they say like they like it would go against Catholic doctrine, I think, to be like, yeah, no, they're not in heaven. They're actually a restless spirit living here. Like I think that would go against it. But weirdly enough, Catholicism also primes that pump. Like if the age from 4 to fucking 14, you're learning about spirits and saints and and God creating man and woman and a woman eating an apple and that being like high drama. Like if you're hearing all that, like then it's kind of like conspiracy theories. Like if one gets you, all of a sudden all the other ones seem within reach. If all of a sudden I'm like, look, I don't believe in ghosts, but I do believe that there's a man in the sky who has the power to choose where you spend eternity. Like it's easy. It's like it's a step further to get to ghosts.
Right.
Where do you stand on? And I know you've worked with some in the past, but I'm just curious. Like I've never worked with a medium or someone who communicates with the dead, or like have you ever encountered anyone like that? And do you believe?
I have a lot of thoughts. My overall belief on everything is I think anything is possible. I think when money is involved, like with haunted eBay dolls or psychics or
yes,
give me money and I'll get the ghost out of your house.
Give me money and I'll tell you that your dead husband still loves you and all that shit.
Yes. Yeah. And he does.
Yeah, it seems to be a little predatory. It can get predatory, much like anything, religion, belief, and religion starts out as this like beautiful thing to take care of each other in the community, and then all of a sudden money gets involved, and you have a pastor who has like a PJ and he's like got full sleeve tattoos and is talking about.
I'm upset anytime there's a documentary or anything about these pastors that are like, this water is a very special magic water and it takes away diseases. So anyone
who's selling like snake oil, like for real, like literally the Bible has stories about how what they're doing is evil. Like, and then they're like, hey, we're pitching Christianity here, but I'm literally doing stuff that the bad guys in the Bible were doing.
Don't get me started.
I'm like, Jesus fucking flipped the tables of the money changers. Keep that in mind. Okay.
But to answer your question about psychics, I definitely believe that it's possible. My listeners are probably sick of hearing me say this, but I'm very proud of this analogy. I compare psychic abilities to sense of humor. I think that everyone's got a version, even just a little bit, but some people can make a living at it. Some people it's just like, oh, they said a funny thing sometimes. Yeah. Whatever. But
someone can have like, they have light psychic ability, but they're a manager at Walmart. They don't have to like, they are super hysterically funny and they are an English teacher,
Right. But I also think when you start doing, like when you're like, okay, I'm going to be a comedian or I'm going to be a psychic, like you definitely can bomb. You definitely can have better days than other days. Sometimes you're just tapped in.
Right.
Sometimes you're working with someone that you have better chemistry with. So I just think that like that's how it is with psychics. I try to give them the benefit of the doubt that like the ones that really can do, because I've seen people do incredible things as a psychic. Like I've been there when they've done the like going up to a stranger in a deli and be like, hey, I got a message, and then it's just like, oh,
that's fucking wild.
Yeah. See, I've seen that. But then I'm like, do that to me. And then they're like, right.
And then you can't get that firsthand.
Yeah.
You said something in there. You just like, I think anything is possible. And I think that would be where I'm coming from too. I believe that people have psychic powers. I do believe, because again, that goes back to my original thesis of like, we're not positive what the brain is capable of,
Right.
And that would be that exactly.
Or is it beyond the brain?
Mm-hmm. Welcome back to Beyond the Brain.
Welcome to Beyond the Brain. Can I show you a haunted doll?
Of course. You just go under the desk and pull out.
I could. It's time for The Dolls Are Living. I recently got one in my possession, but that doll is not here. It is locked away in a box.
But you own or possess a haunted doll.
I possess a doll that is possessed.
Oh, see, I don't know if I fully believe it, but I definitely would not like spit into the wind with being like, well, fill my house with haunted dolls and I'll believe, because it's a vibe.
it's always been my my theory or whatever is like, I don't necessarily believe in it, but I'm not taking my chances.
Same. I feel that.
You know what, Jiha? I just realized I think I have a better one. Can I just real quick set? Is that really gonna mess you up?
No, it won't mess me up. Just email it to me. It's just going to take a minute. Y'all will just have to stand by.
She's pissed. It won't mess her up, but it will take a minute.
Okay, you
That's
know
good
what?
production.
Before we do this to Jiha, I want to ask you what you would prefer. Would you prefer a gay man trapped in a doll or a gorilla toy that is a sex demon?
And wait, what am I choosing for? One of them I get to...
No. Just for us to talk about. They all come with bios.
They both sound amazing, but I think you had me at gorilla sex demon.
Okay, well then...
Which I think is the name of my first
then
improv
Jiha's going to be pissed.
Oh, fuck! I chose the wrong one!
Because now I have to send this to Jiha.
I can't believe what I just typed into this search bar.
Yeah, I mean, you're now on a watch list for sure. Haunted doll, active demon... Oh. Whoa.
It says haunted doll, active demon, sexual succubus, shapeshifter item, gorilla booty cheeks.
And it looks just like a toy with someone put red ink around the gorilla's eyes.
Yeah, there's definitely red just smeared over a regular old gorilla.
That is very unscary, I will say.
Well, just wait till you read it. So these all come with bios. This one is currently going for $43.99. Not bad. You know, I'm on to some of these sellers because there's a lot of people that sell like this is their job. They sell.
They just buy dolls at thrift stores and go
red
like,
ink
let
on
me
it.
write a backstory.
Exactly.
How about I've been working on this gorilla sex demon idea. It's like, oh, okay, yeah. Well, we got a gorilla toy. Let's slap some red paint on its eyes and watch as two comedians in Los Angeles talk about it.
So that's why I am on to some of these people where I'm like, you just want to be featured on this show because these bios are too good.
Well, it's also like, okay, so you have 7 different dolls for sale on your, like, you live in a house with 7 haunted dolls waiting to try to sell them.
But you know, some people, okay, I'll give you an example. My friends Greg and Dana Newkirk, shout out, they run a haunted museum and it's just haunted items. And a lot of what they have, people send it to them because they know they're the people.
Right. That makes sense.
So it's like, I'll give these people the benefit of the doubt on
now,
eBay.
are you trying to pitch me a sitcom? Because I think Haunted Museum Couple is a sitcom.
Hell yeah, it is. So, like, I could see maybe it's like, oh yeah, you know Janice, she loves selling those haunted dolls. Here's a great one for her. This one is haunted by a sex demon and a gorilla.
That's kind of like, you know, in like when you meet someone and learn some, like, for example, when I've been with my wife now for like 20-ish years. And
are you serious?
Yeah, I think it's 22 at this point. And my mom, she used to be into owls in like the mid-aughts, and my mom would buy her like an owl thing. But now 20 years later, my mom's still like, Tiffany, you like owl stuff, right? And it's like, she's like seeking out owl shit, and we're like, Tiffany, we don't even have like places for all these fucking owl things. And so it's become like this kind of joke. And then it's all of a sudden you're like, oh, the Newkirks, they love haunted dolls. And they're like, okay, we actually are full of haunted dolls.
Because that's the thing. You get the doll, but then you also get what's on the inside.
Yeah, and it could be a gay man or a sex demon.
So let me read you about this one.
Please do.
This one's name is Salacia. It says, meet Salacia. She is something special. She's exciting, big, strong, and dirty.
Why am I hard right now? Sorry.
A beautiful vessel from the underworld, ready to serve you and possess you. And Jiha, if we can get some like kind of like Bow Chicka Wow Wow music under this, that would be great. Thank you. Salacia is so sexy, clever, and so damn naughty. She loves to laugh and cheer. Oh my God, I cannot keep reading this. This is This is worse than I thought it was. She loves to laugh and cheer when you play with her fat gorilla booty cheeks. She loves all positions, especially doggy style. This is insane.
Trying to convey to an ape what doggy style is like, you're already doing ape style. Do you need to make it doggy as well?
Exactly.
It's complicated.
That's too many species. This is on the next season of Chimp Crazy.
Well, that's what I was just about to say. Speaking of like documentaries that are 1 hour too long, although I was obsessed
Add it
with
to
that.
the list,
Put it
people.
on there. I love it.
Yeah, Jiha, can you reach out to the lady from Chimp Crazy?
Tanya Haddix. I feel like you two would get along so well. No, and I hope you don't take offense, but I think
No, I agree.
I think you two would get along swimmingly.
Absolutely. No, don't actually do that, Jiha. I actually don't want the competition. So anyway, but here's what
So you play with the doll's booty cheeks, and then Salacia gets all fucking worked up?
I think usually how this goes,
Usually with gorilla sex demons, it's
and I am an expert on this, there is a spirit inside. Now, it says here she will change into a gorgeous female with long black hair, big, beautiful breasts and eyes, and red lips. Be careful and do not let her consume you, for you are its master when she changes into this animalistic female succubus. She needs to be shown some sort of control. This is insane.
I buy a gorilla doll, I rub its butt cheeks, it turns into a giant statuesque brunette, and then I'm not supposed to let it consume me? R.I.P. Gabrus. I am toast. I'm like, Salacia, I'm yours, baby. Look at those booty cheeks. I wouldn't even think of a gorilla as having cheeks, really.
Oh, that was one of the big
takeaways. That was one of the big takeaways from Chimp Crazy, is that some of these chimps' asses are horrifying to look at.
Yeah, definitely. I do recall that.
A friend of mine said after watching Chimp Crazy, he's like, that's when I knew Trump could win the presidency, because it's like, I live in a bubble. America is different than I thought it was.
It's very different.
It's kind of eye-opening when you watch it. You're like, okay, yeah, no, this is a different country than I thought we lived in.
Absolutely. And that's the thing about this haunted doll world, that I have brought this to the masses a little bit, or I tried to expose the world to this underworld, but there's a lot of these. I mean, there's monkey trade in this country I didn't know about. There's all kinds of, I've seen those.
And now we're finding the Venn diagrams smashed together in Salacia, the possessed sex demon inside of a gorilla toy. This looks like a fucking McDonald's Happy Meal toy. And then you take it home and you're like, hey, I picked this up for you, son. Hey, how come you keep taking that gorilla doll into the shower with you? Has anyone seen my gorilla doll?
It's I don't feel comfortable reading all of this, but I think that people
Does it get a touch nasty? This might be a perfect thing to throw in the show notes, and then people can go,
yeah.
Ooh, yeah.
I'll
follow up on my own.
I'm not sure by the time, I assume somebody's going to snatch this right up, so it might not still be up.
I'm on my phone buying it right now. I will get this before January 6th, where anyone else hears about this shit. I need Salacia in my life.
Yeah.
Please turn into a brunette. Please don't just be a gorilla. Just my luck, a gorilla rips my cock off. I'm like, I thought you were turning into a lady. I am a female gorilla, bitch. Oh, no.
I will say the word sperm is used.
Oh, shit. One of the hottest words.
This is insane as I'm looking at this.
I like that this is already an insane conceit on step one, and then they still managed to surprise you.
You didn't need to put a hat on a hat,
right,
but they did.
You did not need to put a sperm in a Salacia.
There's sperm, there's, I'm sorry, I'm just quoting, piss drinking. There's...
Okay, you're losing me a little here, Salacia. This might be I'm not that into... Look, a sex demon killing me during a consensual... Yeah, I'm
that's
on board.
one thing.
But I'm not about to... Wait, Am I drinking her piss or is she drinking mine? You know what? Keep reading. I need to know now.
It would be yours.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
That's kind of grosses me out a little.
She likes.
I'm old school. I'm a little bit of a traditionalist.
Yeah.
If I'm gonna fuck a gorilla doll come to life as a sex demon, I don't think I need to be drinking piss or having her drink my piss.
Exactly.
Yeah, this is the definition of a hat on hat. I'm like, isn't this enough, lady? Isn't this enough, Salacia? Now you also need my piss?
I mean, that's how she got the name Salacia.
She's insalaciable.
You're killing me. So it says, so you pet her and spank her fat ass, and it's A with $2 signs.
If you say fat ass in reference to a gorilla, you're already weird. If you say it in reference to a toy, that is crazy.
Well, but this is, it's not crazy because it's not. They're not talking about slapping the ass of a toy because that would be insane. But they're talking about slapping the ass of a demon that comes out of the toy.
Oh, okay. So Salacia's
normal.
Is stacked with cheeks. Got it. Her cheek game is strong.
Exactly. This isn't weird.
Thank you. Okay. You're right. I apologize. I'm not here to yuck anyone's yum.
She also has a sexy cheer outfit. It says.
This is just some old pervert who's like, yeah, sperm, drinking piss, yeah, cheerleader outfit. It's like, it's starting to be like 90s porn category. It's like, and Salacia's also a sexy nurse, and she's your stepmom.
Exactly.
She's your stepsister, and she has to sleep in your bed tonight. She forgot her underwear. And she's thirsty, and all she has is a glass of your piss.
It says, light a white candle, burn incense, and give a small present to welcome her into your home. And then it says at the very end, this vessel is uncleansed.
I'd say.
Yeah. What
your
are we
neighbor's like,
talking about
hey,
here?
you're not fucking a sex demon upstairs, are you? Jesus Christ, it reeks of incense and piss down here. Light incense because the piss will make your breath smell awful.
I almost just did a spit take.
This is such a weird place to be in because it's like I'm very like I'm intrigued. Like I'm just horny enough and just heterosexuality is a cage, and I'm just enough to be like, well, what does Salacia look like?
Well, for $43.99.
And the cost of a white candle and incense.
You gotta include that. Sorry. Doesn't come
Shipping,
with it.
handling, candle, incense. The
she
classic.
doesn't come with that stuff. And, you know,
You don't get the full Salacia kit in the mail.
No, you got to get it all separate. But it always says with these, eBay requires that I add the policy on purchasing paranormal and metaphysical objects. It forbids the sale of intangible objects like spirits, entities, luck, magic. Therefore, I am only selling this as a doll.
Imagine like when the old people who invented eBay back in like the late mid-aughts were like, yeah, so people could sell stuff that they had and maybe it's collectibles, and it's like, hey, boss, what do we want to do about like spirits and entities and stuff? Are we going to allow people to sell intangible objects? And it's like, I don't know. That seems like a litigious kind of category. Let's just say no spirits, no intangibles, and like someone's like, when will this come in handy? Boom, here we are dealing with it.
Well, they were probably like, no, we're not going to put that because that's insane.
Yeah, we're not putting that. And then all of a sudden they had to because someone's like, I'd like to return my gorilla doll and never turned into a succubus who drained me of piss and cum.
Yeah, I would be pretty pissed off if that's what happened.
Wait, all I can think about right now, Roz, and please don't take this the wrong way, is you need to sell haunted dolls of yourself to your listeners.
I think about this all the time. Okay.
You don't have to I'm not saying that because of all the sperm and all that all the sex stuff. I'm not saying that for that reason. I'm saying your listeners should be purchasing a haunted Roz doll for their house, and you just put some like a little pre-recorded voice stuff in there and shit, and like just startle, like have it play at random times, motion detected.
I should just go to Build-A-Bear Workshop and just record the little messages.
Haunted Build-A-Bear.
Yes, and then just sell them that way. Is that still a thing? Build-A-Bear
It's
Workshop?
gotta be. It's gotta be. If American Girl still exists, I bet Build-A-Bear still exists.
Oh my God. Can I play some ghost voices?
Please.
It's time for
EVPs.
or EV Police.
Oh, I like this.
EVP stands for Electronic Voice Phenomenal.
And
It's
this is like voices that are recorded but not heard by the natural ear, right?
exactly that's what it is.
Oh, hell yeah.
So-
I'm such a good student.
You're great. So this was posted by Paranormal Proof Official.
Okay. Say
I
less.
mean, so
That we know.
so you gotta believe
It's
it.
real. Next one.
That is what they've named their YouTube channel. And I don't know what the location is, but they captured this voice, and I want you to tell me what you hear the ghost saying.
Ooh, I think I need another time.
Don't you worry, I got it.
Is tip included?
That is not what Paranormal Proof Official thought.
Ooh, what do they think he's saying?
Here's an
They
A,
are
B, C, D. Did they think it was A, hey, I'm walking here. B, they don't want that. C, it won't work. Or D, hey, wait, what?
All right, I'm going to have to go with B.
They don't want that? I mean, it does sound a lot like that. They believe it was C, it won't work.
It's possible.
Eh.
I mean, they might have more, like, knowing the context might make more sense, too. Because if they're, like, watching Drugstore Cowboy, then we know him saying, I'm walking here is probably the ghost. Like, this is my favorite part coming up.
They were looking, I think that they pulled out a crystal. And then the ghost said, that won't work.
Put it away, bitch. It ain't gonna work.
Honey, you need something stronger for me.
Pulled out crystal, started smoking crystal meth in front of him. That won't work on me.
It ain't gonna work. Nice
I need something a little stronger.
Yeah, so that was that. Okay, here's the next one. We've got two of them. This was posted by Ghostly Whispers.
Ooh.
Ghostly Whispers Paranormal. And it's at a place called Old Lions Park. Now, I was Googling because I'm like, where's Old Lions Park? So,
Sounds British, right?
well, I Googled Old Lions Park haunted, and it led me to this blog kind of website called theandytchannel.com. And it's talking about this place that basically there's like an urban legend that in the late 70s, it says here, a child was playing on a set of swings in Lions Park, which is in Lismore. I think this is in Australia.
Ooh.
And fell off. The kid fell off, and the swing came back and hit the child, and that was it for the child. And now it's haunted.
Oh, mate. It's haunted, mate.
So,
It's a bit haunted now, ain't it?
but people still hear screams, laughing children, all this kind of spooky stuff. It's like the haunted woods of this area.
Oh. I will say, ever since the TV show Are You Afraid of the Dark, the Nickelodeon haunted
Submitted
show.
for the approval by the Midnight Society. I call this story The Lion Park.
In the credits, they have the swing that is just swinging, and
Terrifying.
that is a haunting image. It's just a swing swinging at
Terrifying.
night, and now you're telling me this swing killed a kid? Oof.
Well, but here's the fun thing about this website, this blog. It must be a popular blog because there's a lot of comments that people had shared their stories and stuff.
Oh, cool.
And one stood out to me. So a user named Peter wrote, "The old Lions Park used to be a gay beat. When one time at night I was with a guy, we saw someone watching us in the scrub less than 3 feet away. The person stood there strangely, slightly slender, wearing a camo top and jeans. We indicated for him to join us. He made no sound either from the dry leaves and sticks which snap if you slightly moved. Me and my companion looked for a moment at each other and then back again at the other guy, and he completely vanished with no sound. It would have been impossible that could happen due to the sound and visibility. We both felt a strange chill in the air. We realized what happened and that it could have only been a ghost, which spoiled the mood and we couldn't leave quicker.
A ghost spoiled the mood quicker than like a creep watching them. Gay guys rule. Like a dude watching them is like, hey, come on over here, pal.
Gay guys rule. And then I started reading more and more comments, and it was like, yeah, this place, like, too many people were having sex in this park. So
that's really funny, the idea of a haunted park, but it's also a cruising site.
So
then you're like a closed-minded ghost from like the early 20th century who's like, get these puffers out of here. And then like they have to watch guys just like fuck all day long at night.
Yeah.
Like, boo. And they're like, do you want to join? He's like, I'm trying to scare you. Get over here, you handsome ass ghost. Are you a top or a bottom?
Oh my God, you're killing me today.
That is such a funny idea.
There's
a
the
ghost is like,
sitcom.
I'll haunt this park for my life, and just every night has to watch dudes fuck. Okay,
Yeah.
all right. Well, maybe tonight I'll be able to scare someone.
Boo! Get over here, you. So anyway, sorry, I forgot what we were doing here. We're doing EVPs.
Right.
So
Or EV, please.
Thank you. So this was a EVP that I think was taken at that park called Old Lions Park. Anyway, what?
Oh, fuck, I'm going to come. I'm about to burst. Are you on prep?
Okay.
Sorry, let's EV, please.
It's really good. Wait.
It's someone inhaling a popper. It is a scary noise. That is like if I heard that noise, I'd be scared.
Did they think it was A, it's hot out here? B, how do you know? C, hurry up. Or D, I can't even.
Ooh, I don't hear many words in there, but I'm gonna hurry up. Seems like something you.
They believe it was B. How do you know?
Wait, play it. Okay, maybe.
So maybe it was like the gay guys saw the ghost and they're like, oh, that's just a ghost. And he's like, how do you know?
That ghost isn't gay. How do you know? Wink.
Dabbles.
I've been around for millennia. You think I haven't eaten an ass or two?
Okay, last thing.
Hit me.
I'm just going to list like paranormal things, and I'm curious if you have any thoughts.
That's a great ring, by the way. I want to say.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Isn't
I
it
dig
great?
Yeah, it's
you know
cool.
where I got it? Wacko on Sunset.
Oh, I was like, in Texas? That's pronounced
Waco.
Waco.
No, Wacko on Sunset
I'll
is my
check-
favorite store in Los Angeles.
I'll check it out. That's cool as shit.
It's just like a evil eye, anyone listening, but it's like a plasticky. Anyway, okay. Just tell me what you think about these things.
Okay.
Ouija boards.
I can't believe a board game that is sold at Toys R Us is scary, but it is. We have one. We have a vintage one in our house that we're not allowed
Stop.
to use.
Why
It's
do you
only
have
for
it?
it's only for decoration.
Where'd you get it?
My wife tracked it down, like bought a vintage one. It's like from 1970 something.
On eBay?
Yeah, I guess at night it comes to life and sucks me off, but otherwise. No, it's terrifying. We're not allowed to play with it, but it's just out for in the October spooky season. No, DRINKPISS.
What do you think of the Mothman?
I hope to meet him someday. Ask him what it was like to work with Richard Gere.
Yeah. Ask him if the stories are true.
It was a haunted gerbil doll.
What do you think of past lives?
Ooh, that's an interesting one. It requires a belief in like a whole new understanding of how the afterlife and all that works, but it's hard to completely rule that out. Which that one's kind of exciting, that spiritually we will continue on, but if I don't remember any of my past lives, when I do my next life, will I remember?
What's the point?
Yeah, right.
So do you think that you've lived past lives?
I think so. It's possible. You know, people say stuff like when they have like a specific affinity or something. Like, you know, my wife really likes like a certain era of design and stuff, and she believes that's partially because like she'll like do the math, and she's like, imagine if I was born here and then I would have died at this age, and then like that I was alive for this, and I'm like, oh yeah, I mean maybe it makes sense.
What era is she into?
She's into like the roaring 20s, and then like also to jump back to like the Victorian. Like she's really into both of those. Yeah, and for me, I'm like, yeah, maybe, because I have like such an affinity for the ocean that I don't like, but. Because my wife was like, maybe you were someone, and I'm like,
a merman.
Yeah, but I grew up on Long Island, like a few miles from the beach. It's like it's probably nurture more than it is nature at that point. Of like
Long Island. Wait a second. There's so much iconic paranormal stuff.
Oh yeah, we have Mount Misery, which is our.
Wait, I don't know that one. I was going to say Amityville Horror.
We got Amityville Horror. We got the Montauk Monster. We have
Teresa Caputo.
Teresa Caputo, the Long Island Medium. They call me the Long Island XXL.
What? What is the Misery?
Mount Misery. It's like a road that goes up into the woods on Long Island, and everyone believes that there's crazy
Kathy
stuff.
Bates is up there.
Yeah, she's up there bashing Jimmy Kahn's ankles with a sledgehammer.
Jimmy.
No, it's this like road that goes to almost nowhere, and everyone has had some like they say that there's a church there, and people there is a church there, and then people believe that they've seen the cross upside down, and they've seen people in robes. This is like stuff you hear as legend. You don't know what's real, but I will say my one experience with Mount Misery was. We drove up it. My friend got this is tie everything we've talked about together. My friend's got his first car. He bought it off his mom's psychic for $50.
Stop.
It was a 1975 Ford LTD, which is about the length of like a cruise ship. It's enormous, and it sits 3 in the front, 3 in the back. Me, him, another buddy, and 2 girls were all going out. We made stolen cocktails, and we smoked some weed, and we got in this car. And we were going to drive up to Mount Misery, and the girls were like, I don't know. We're like, oh, yeah, we should do it. It'd be totally cool. And we start driving up, and the road keeps getting narrower and narrower and a little more overgrown with brush. And then there's headlights behind us. And my buddy who's driving is like freaking out a little bit. He's like, oh, these guys are up my fucking ass. I just want to drive slow. And we're 17. So we like 18. We just got cars. And he's like, oh, fuck. This guy's, and I'm like, okay, it's all right. So we keep driving, and we get to just a random like dead end, where like there's just like a yellow diamond sign with nothing on it and like a guardrail. And we're like, shit, we're in the middle of the woods. We got to turn around. But his car is so big. He's like, shit, these guys behind me are going to flip out. So their headlights are like beaming on us. He starts doing like a 28-point turn, and then the headlights turn off. And we're like, oh, okay. Like, thank you. You can tell you're blasting us. And then when we fully turn around and drive out, we never encounter that car. And it was pretty scary. And like we got really creeped out. Now, could a car have just shut its lights off, turned around, or driven backwards out of there? Completely possible. But we unpacked it for like an hour afterwards, and we're like, something weird happened up there. Yeah.
That was a ghost. I can't believe you saved that till the end.
I
mean,
can't
it's a
believe
great finish.
I can't believe it didn't come up earlier. I guess I didn't. I considered that more in the realm of urban legends and stuff like that.
I
But
like it. I like
it
urban
fits.
legends.
Shit, girl. I'm sorry. Yeah, it was a fucking ride. As a matter of fact, I think next time I go home to visit, I'm gonna head up Mount Misery with my mom. Yeah.
And come back to report.
I will. I'll report back.
Have you been to the Amityville house?
We've driven past it. We've never tried to get in there. There's also an empty insane asylum on Long Island too. That's supposed to be haunted. That squatters were living in for years after and stuff like that. It's supposed to be. Yeah, Long Island has a lot of that. Its proximity to New York City and it's it's been around for a long time, and probably the atrocities that were visited upon the native and indigenous populations over centuries. This probably doesn't help the vibes.
Right.
Yeah.
Whoa.
And now Long Island is terrifying for a number of different reasons, as today is January 6, 2025.
Tying it all together. Well, Gabrus.
Roz.
I'm so sad we can't use any of this. Tell people where they can find you.
I'm at Gabrus on all social media. I have a podcast called...
Sorry, I just started thinking about the haunted Ouija board in your home.
Asking me to drink piss. My podcast, High and Mighty, is just a chat show with other comedians and interesting people. If you're a Roz fan, maybe start with her episode. We had a good time.
Yes.
And then I also have a podcast called Action Boys, which is 3 middle-aged men discussing classic action movies of the 70s, 80s, and 90s. It's behind a paywall, but we have hundreds of episodes, so it might be of value. And we also have some free episodes at free.actionboys.biz, boys with a Z. And
Who do you do that with?
my friends Ben Rogers and Ryan Stanger. They're two very funny UCB comedian guys, podcasters.
Amazing.
Yeah, it's a good time.
Well, thank you for joining me.
Thank you for having me. What a treat. I got to get home and get on eBay ASAP.
What's that at the foot of my bed? It's spooky and kooky. I'm pretty sure it's dead. It's coming this way. Wait a minute, hey, I'm